Now, you might have previously seen me do some recordings of World Tanks. This game that we're seeing here is actually a game created by the same company. Well, created, it's actually a recreation of a game that was originally released back in the early 90s. I actually remember playing it back in those days. And it was such a good and fun game at that point. Now, WarGaming has taken on themselves to actually create a re-release or recreation of that original game. In the game itself, it's kind of got the atmosphere of civilization, I would say. You basically are in this instance in a galaxy, and you are basically getting into a position where you need to basically start spreading out, colonizing other worlds, and then of course encountering other alien races. Now, do bear in mind the game itself is still in I think it's still in a pre-release state. Or an early release state,
from the cloudy planet Altair, the proud
as I'm starting a new game in here, you'll notice that I got a variety of different race I can start off with.
Well known for
it's
their
about
peaceful
12 different,
disposition,
or 11 different ones.
Do
bear in mind, the one that's called Terran here is only available if you had actually done the actual early release, or bought the game in the early release.
The Skylord rules over the flock.
Now, do bear in mind, each of these actual aliens or each of the races that you can choose from has got its own individual traits. And you'll probably already notice that there's actually a quite nice bit of actual audio interaction with the game, so it actually gives you a description of the race. The description is down here, is being read out by a particular actor who's actually done a voiceover recording on this. Large selection of options on here. Again, do bear in mind the traits. So what you want to do is you want to look at the traits themselves and pick the race that you really want to play as part of your gameplay. Now, I've actually previously, when I played this back in the early 90s, I liked playing the Darlok. It was fun. I haven't played them in the new release now yet. Quite tempted to play the Cylon as well. Let's just go for the Darlok. And let's see how the game develops. Their key traits are really spying, security, and those kind of things. Really getting information from others.
Puts them at odds with themselves.
So, let's have a look at the game. So, as I go to the next screen, I really get to choose, first off, the actual shape of the galaxy. Do I want it to be circular, so as a sphere, or do I want it to be a spiral? Now, the disadvantage of playing in a spiral is, of course, if you want to go to the other arms of the spiral, you need to go through the hub of the galaxy and then go to the other arms, etc. It could also be an advantage because it makes it easier to defend if you're in one of the spirals. It's really a choice you need to make for yourself. Then, of course, is the galaxy size. I guess for this actual playthrough, I'll do a medium size just to start off with. Galaxy age, that has an influence on what resources are available. At least that's how I remember it from the early 90s when I used to play this. So young, average or old. So it depends on which choice you make, what actual resources are available in terms of what you can find on the planets, etc, etc. And then also we'll find here the difficulty level. Of course, let's just go for normal to start off with. And the number of opponents. Now, given the current size of the galaxy, you can only choose a maximum of 5. I'm quite happy with that. Now you'll also notice that there's a Big Bang seed here. It's like a random number that's being put in there, but actually influences the shape of the galaxy, the position of the planets, etc. Just roll the dice and you get a different number. But the nice thing about this is you can actually remember a number of a previously played map and put that in there again. So at least if you basically had a particular map that you liked, and then you of course remember the positioning of the individual planets, enter a seed number, you should be able to start the same world again. Now, of course, there are some advanced options on here. Research speed can be modified, etc, etc. Things like random events, pirates, etc. Those kind of things I typically leave initially set to the defaults. So I'm just going to hide that again. I'm actually going to start off the game. Now, as you're starting the game, initially it starts rendering that actual map for you, the map that you're going to be playing on. So this takes a couple of seconds for us to actually run through the rendering process. Now, when we actually get to the next stage, when we're actually starting the actual game in a second, we will notice that there's actually an introductory talk by whichever actor's actually done that racial voiceover. So there's a couple of actual quite famous actors actually done some of the voiceovers for this. Things that, for example, the actor that played Murdoch in the A-Team back in the 80s. He's actually one of the actors that did a voiceover for this as well. There's a variety of other actors that are actually done voiceovers. So each individual race has got its own voice associated with it. Quite nice. Now, description, of course, is going to be race specific. Duration. Now, we will start off, of course, with a home planet. And introductory videos like this
Deep in the
gives you
marshes
insight
of
into actually the origins of the
Darlok
race.
cabal stirs.
And actually, you can skip
Secretive
this if you
and
want to just by
paranoid
clicking on that.
shapeshifters, they
mouse
live in a
key.
constant struggle for identity.
But yeah,
Both
it does actually give you
and resentful of
the
the
reason
definite
as to why
and
the race
immutable
is the way
sameness
it
of
is.
others. It is this existential quality
It's
that
quite
now
nice,
pushes
having
the
these little
cabal
introductories.
to
Again,
stretch
they are
their
specific to
tendrils
the individual
other
races
worlds,
that
to
you're
look
playing
for
with.
a sense of true self in the skin and shape of each of the other races they will never be.
Again, do bear in mind, at the bottom of the screen, you might see that here at the bottom left, it also lists the actual date of this particular build.
I'm here to pay obeisance to the one closest to the void.
Now you'll see this particular pop-up coming up quite regularly, and that's basically just giving you hints as to how the game can be played. And also at the bottom right, you'll notice that where it's at the moment says a fleet needs orders. You will have a little list or queue just above there of all the events that are basically coming through in the game. Now, our home planet here is called Nazine. Nazine 2 in this particular instance. You can actually graphically see what the planet looks like down here. You see some movement, and you see actually some actual buildings. So the space station, etc., listed there. I thought we could change that to the view, yeah. So if you switch it to the view, you can actually click on the individual buildings to get to see them. Click on them, basically get an understanding of what they do. You can scrap them, etc., etc. Just going to click on OK here for the moment. And I want to click back to the regular input. So what we see on here on the left side, at the moment, our first planet here has actually got a size of, well, it can sustain 14 in terms of the population. And at the moment we got 6. Now, it's at the moment spread evenly across the actual research, food, and actual production. We can, of course, choose a production item from the list. I think, interestingly enough, at the beginning, it's always a good idea to basically boost your research. So I'm just doing that research boost here at the moment. It's going to give me, I believe, 2 additional research in here. Do bear in mind, there is a maintenance cost associated with that. So across the very top here, you see your credit balance at the moment, currently 50, increasing every turn by 12. So this particular game is really a turn-based game, so you actually have to click on a button to advance to the next turn. And at that point, of course, you see those changes occurring. Next player goes through their actions, etc. So it's again, in that particular sense, it's very, very similar to what you come across in games like Civilization. I'm just going to do a little bit of redistribution of this. I'm just going to actually boost my food production, which will actually increase the actual rate of my population increase. So it takes me 18 turns for the next member of population to become available on the planet. Do also bear in mind, we got credit increase from the planet. Well, I only got 1 planet to start off with. Your defense rating at the moment. At the moment I got only 4 Marines out of the maximum of 12. Again, that's linked back to that population size, I thought. Security is all, of course, associated with the actual buildings, etc. we got. And, of course, your population's morale. Do bear in mind, you get pollution as well to basically occur as you're doing more production. So the more people you actually invest into that production, you might actually notice that that rate of pollution will actually increase. So ideally I want to leave that rate of change set to be either 0 or negative. Occasionally, of course, it will be positive because you might actually want to invest a bit more into getting certain buildings. In your production queue, as you actually do more research, you actually be able to choose other buildings from the production list that will actually have an actual improvement on the actual rate of pollution, I should say. Okay, so let's just go with our current choice here. So I've actually made an increased investment in terms of the food production, and I've actually chosen my item of research here. Now, the one thing I haven't actually done here yet is talk about the focuses. So at the moment we're doing this all manually. So manually doing the redistribution of these. I can, of course, choose one of these focus to actually choose to basically emphasize a particular factor on there. Now, what I'm doing manual, it just gives me a bit more control over there. But as your empire grows later on, you might want to basically start using those options because it becomes more tedious to actually manage that all yourself. Now, one of the things that I haven't actually done here yet at the bottom is the actually show queue. So you can actually build up a queue of extra items to build. As you are in the fairly early stages, typically it's a good idea to get an extra colony ship. I don't think there's a real big need yet for frigates. Maybe a space factory would be useful. Let me just reorder that slightly. So it's really a drag and drop process down here of reordering them. But colony ships are always quite useful. Do bear in mind, you already started off with one colony ship. So if you look at the fleet that we see around our planet at the moment, clicking on there, you should see we got 4 ships in there at present, consisting of a colony ship, a frigate, a scout, and yet another scout. So I'm just going to move that particular frigate over to the first planet. So what you saw me doing within that fleet, I selected an individual planet itself, an individual ship itself, which actually allows me to basically issue orders to that individual ship. If I hadn't actually selected that individual ship, I would have been able to actually move them as a batch all at once. Now, as I moved it over there to that particular planet, I can actually change the direction in which I'm looking. As you can see, the ship is moving with the mouse cursor as such. I can already start issuing additional orders to go beyond that. Let me just pick one of the scouts and let me start sending those scouts to the individual other systems. It straight away gives you indication, as long as they're within a certain range of what kind of planets are within that particular system to which you're traveling. And again, the same thing shall happen for this one. I think I can even actually now reissue my orders or change my orders slightly to say I want to actually go to one of the planets within there straight away. So it's going to explore that. Now, based upon what I've just found, it actually makes sense, I think, to move my actual frigate over to that particular waypoint there. And I'm actually going to move my colony ship into that system as well. Do bear in mind, again, that notification bar I talked about earlier is now actually being populated. And again, clicking on those individual entries zooms in on those actual events that we've got. Again, just drag and drop on the screen itself to basically move your chart around. And of course, you can use your scroll wheel to easily zoom in and out of the actual galactic map here. And again, you should see all of those colored dots are actually individual stars. And as you hover your mouse cursor over them, once you've zoomed in sufficiently, it tells you what kind of star it is: yellow star, red star, brown star, etc. And again, each of those got a certain age it depicts, but also basically the chance of actually getting what kind of planets you could potentially get around there. Just click on OK on that welcome screen itself. Gives you advice on what to do with your fleet, tells you what to do with your research. So it really helps you through the initial stages here. I'm just going to issue some research orders. So again, always bear in mind what's happening at the bottom right.
Choose what mystery the examiners will fathom next.
Now do bear in mind, you do have some advisors on here. So if you look at the little icon, that's your
The Cabal's
advisor
Board
here.
of Investors has issued an entreaty for this.
And as you have your mouse cursor over that little icon, the science advisor here gives you advice as to, or an indication as to what's happening there.
The Examiners Guild has highlighted this discipline.
And of course that should also increase.
The Cabal's Welfare Office endorsed the study of this secret.
Now do bear in mind, you don't have to necessarily go with these business advice. It's really down to you as a player to choose what is most useful for you. I always like the biology because it actually gives you the hydroponic farms, which actually help you increase food production.
Whispers in the dark.
Taking us back to that galactic map. So yeah, like I already explained, click on the next turn will take you to the next turn. Let's talk a little bit through those extra icons at the very top here. Empire really gives you an overview of your current empire that stands, what you're researching, tax rate you're actually imposing. Do bear in mind that has a negative impact or positive impact upon your actual happiness on the planet itself. Now if I were to increase this, I should see that my population will become less happy, more happy, but it also of course influences my available number of credits as it stands here. Now hover your mouse cursor over that little plus icon there, or actually over the amount of credits, gives you a breakdown of your chart of accounts, or it's his financial summary really. It tells you exactly what you're spending money on, how much actually tax receipts you're getting, plus of course how much proceeds you're getting from maybe trade treaties with alien races, etc. Okay, so I didn't change that figure. Again, the Empire focus itself is set to balance at the moment. That is a way in which you can basically force a particular view on all the planets. So colony focus or Empire focus, again, can be changed individually. And you should get an overview here of your actual build queue for the individual planets as such. Let's advance to the next turn. At that point, of course, the next set of races will actually advance through their individual turns. You might notice here, if I'm basically looking at that little connecting line, so each of these actual star systems on here is connected through these connecting lines, and that's the only way of basically moving between the star systems I've got at the moment. Not sure if there's actually going to be any other drives available later on that allow me to travel without following these lines. I haven't actually progressed to that particular stage yet, but we'll see that as we actually go through the game as such. Now again, there is a particular fleet here that I haven't actually issued any particular orders to, which is that defensive fleet here. I'm just going to tell it to guard that particular waypoint, so any particular alien ships that try to pass through here will be stopped by my fleet here as such. Again, click on next. At this point I basically get a notification of there having been a pirate fleet detected, and again the military advisor comes up with advice as to what I can do at that particular point in time. Where are they based? They're located over there, and I think it might be a good idea if I just move that particular fleet into here. So I'm just moving my frigates, I think it's frigates, is it frigate? Yeah, it's a frigate, into this particular system. So it's going to take them another 1 turn, I believe, to move to that waypoint. I should be able to stop them there. So let's see. Again, just clicking on the icon just allows us to zoom in on that. Now do bear in mind, I've actually reached this particular point at the end of my last turn, so I can actually use that movement now to straight away get an insight into what's actually happening over here. Now I get to see that this is a radiated planet. I can of course populate that if I wanted to, but yeah, it might actually get you the benefits that you're looking for. So let's have a look. What can I do over here? Much yet. Now again, I just issued these orders last time. It typically
Be revealed.
Ooh, interesting. Now this is something you come across occasionally. These are what we call the random events, or the events that we basically were able to change as the part of the advanced setup. It can basically have a positive effect, can have a negative effect. Typically in my experience is positive. So we just highlight that ship again, and then issue orders for the next turn to actually go to that anomaly. Sometimes you come across anomalies around planets, which might be actually space aliens. This instance is in the middle of nowhere, it looks like. So traveling to there should actually give me insight into actually what's available over there as such. This ship is going to go there. What kind of planet is that? That's again a radiated planet. What kind of planet is that? Another radiated planet. I think it might be wise if I just move it back. Even though I'm just going to lose some turns and not being able to colonize another planet there, I think it's still at least beneficial for me to have that flexibility in there. That ship should get to that point in a turn, and I should be able to intervene with the aliens there. Now when I actually highlight them, I straight away get insight into their actual attack rating and defensive rating. So attack rating of 3, defensive rating of 9. If I look at my frigates, so it's a colony ship, let's look at the frigate itself. Attack rating of 5, defense rating of 9. So I've got a higher attack rating than the actual alien ship has got, or the pirates have got. And again, if I have my ship selected to hover over the aliens, I straight away get to see that comparison there. So I have an advantage in terms of offensive power versus their offensive power. Again, Q allows me to jump through there. Let's just click on next to advance to the next point. I should now be able to move that frigate to that point, and that should now, if I'm not mistaken, as you can see, if I select that ship again, it actually allows me to attack the aliens. Now at this point there's 2 things I can do. I can either let the system actually resolve this all by itself, or I can actually take command. Now since the actual victory chance is balanced, you might be inclined to take command, but yeah, it's a choice you need to make. I kind of think it was a nice idea to just take. Again, it just needs to load. Gonna give us a different way of actually playing this. It's more an action kind of game at that point in time. So I should see my own ship is available over there. I can zoom in on it over here. I can again rotate the map. I can change the viewing angle, etc., etc. What you really want to do in here is make use of all the available material in the area. So I've got a cloud here that basically hides me from their fleet. I can of course hide behind really becomes a bit real time. So as I'm moving through here, it's no longer a turn-based thing, it's become real time. I think in earlier versions of the actual game prior to release, I think it was turn-based at that point. So that has changed, it looks like. I'm quite happy with the actual change, but maybe I should be. I'm trying to focus on a single ship. I need to take them out one by one. I think if I'm doing more damage than they are, I should be able to take them out before he actually takes me out. It doesn't actually list for me the odds of being able to win this. If I look at their health, it goes down a lot quicker than mine actually goes down. And I won the battle. Now, I think it's advisable for me to just take my ship back to a actual starbase to at least I can repair, which I will do in just a minute. The after action report again seems to actually give you a time-based replay in terms of the actual damage, etc. But you also see the actual damage dealt being listed in that results sheet, plus of course your most used weapons listed here, effectiveness of the defense, as well as the actual damage received and dealt in there as well. So I've defeated them. Cool. So let's click on OK. And I think at this point I'm just going to move them back to my home planet, because I don't really want to lose that ship. And as you can see, that damage is still available on that ship. And the best place and the quickest place to repair that is around a starbase. Now you might have remembered that that particular building there in space around the planet is actually a starbase, so that will help me repair my ships as such. I think I'll be able to be shorter straight away to move that around. Still en route to that anomaly. I've actually discovered a new system. Where's that? Over here. Okay, so that's where the aliens came from just a minute ago. And I've actually discovered a planet here that's a swamp planet. Biome swamp. Just gonna see what's the other planets. That's a volcanic one, and the next one I should be able to explore that planet as well.
Arriving at the anomaly, your fleet spots an abandoned container filled with rare minerals floating unguarded in open space. You tell yourself some smuggler...
I can actually use those credits to accelerate the building of certain of my buildings, so I might actually do that later on. And that's a barren planet, so I think it might be beneficial to use... the barren planet is actually quite nice. It's got lots of extra resources, so if you will see listed on here, in terms of the minerals, it's ultra rich. In terms of the biome, it's barren, which, okay, it happens. Huge in terms of size, and it actually can sustain a population of 8. Now let's have a look at the other one here. That one can sustain a population of 11. But at the same time, minerals are not as abundant as on the other one. But the biome is a swamp, so it's actually more advantageous in terms of the actual food production. And again, you should see that those numbers here kind of reflect that as well. Well, I haven't got my quality ship there yet, so let's not worry about that yet. In the meantime, I've got a moon here as well. I can't do anything with the moon yet until I got my space factory ready. Now, next. So my research is just completed. If I click on there,
one more veil is drawn from the truth hindmost.
A little review of actually what I've just researched. Allows you to see the actual buildings that become available through the research I've done. Gives you the details and everything of that. Straight away I can choose my next type of research I want to do. Again, you should see an indication next to here of the number of turns it will actually take to run through that particular bit of research. So in this particular case, I'm probably going to choose, I think, physics. There's a factory I can basically do with that. I don't need the destroyer, don't need the missiles yet. I'm just going to go with the physics.
Outstanding, your secrecy.
And one of the things I do want to do later on is basically build this or research the Xeno relations, because really I can start using my spy abilities at that point. I do need to build that spy center before I can do that, but it also allows me to unlock embassies with the other race I encounter. I just remember that that particular fleet here has been out to actually visit that anomaly. So again, actually it's still in transit, so am I able to do anything with that? No. So once it's back in its original position, it always returns to its original position from which it had actually started the exploration. Well, you'll notice straight away, if I look at my actual planets or the systems here, I've got this particular planet, the radiated planet here. It's in a system, it's not connected to anything else, so that's kind of secure. So the only real warp point which I should have to defend is the one where I actually got my fleet here at the moment, which of course is en route to my home planet. But in terms of the actual defensive capabilities, this seems to be quite advantageous. Let's just have a look at what's available in that particular brown star system over there once my scout ship gets there. I notice an anomaly.
All shall be revealed.
Interesting. Click on view, takes you straight to the system. Okay. So there's an anomaly. Don't know what it is. It could of course be an alien home planet. It could be a space alien. Now, it could well be, of course, that maybe is Orion. And Orion really isn't a planet that gets you lots of advantages, and we'll talk a bit more about that later on. I've just finished the actual construction of my research lab. So research lab is ready for me to actually start using, and I've actually moved on in terms of the cube onto the next building. I should be able to choose my hydroponic farms from here now as well. Now, if I then move that up in the cube back to the current building I want to really focus in on. Do I want to do that? Increase food production? No, let me grow the population first, and then we'll actually focus more on the production afterwards. Okay, there's a fleet that needs orders. I'm just going to set that to skip for the moment. Is there anything else I can issue orders for? Oh yeah, my colony fleet. I think I might want to go to that particular planet there. And
Secrets from the Cabal hindmost.
Okay, it kind of already tells me exactly what I want to do. I was basically planning on colonizing this particular planet here. So again, gives you that little pop-up. Gonna click on OK. But the button here at the bottom, or I can use, of course, my keyboard shortcut C in this particular instance, colonize, allows me to colonize that planet. Do bear in mind, each individual race has got its own shape of ships, and every planet's got its own uniform organization process here as such. So in this instance, we're going to go onto a barren planet, and we'll get to see this introduction here. Looks like I should see it at the moment. Quite nice to actually see that kind of, what do you want to call it, run through. What do I want to focus in on? I might maybe want to use the advantage that I got because I actually have some money in the bank. So do I want to do a hydroponic farm or biosphere? I think I want to do all of those. Now do bear in mind, because this is not my home planet, I'll actually want to basically invest some extra effort in the government support building. Now you'll notice that morale on this particular planet is already at 70% compared to the 100% I had on my home planet. But do bear in mind, that is influenced by the number of people, of course, etc, etc. So there's various different factors involved in there, but having a government support facility actually increases that morale. So it's always good to have that somewhere in your queue. Now, I was kind of hoping to be able to buy this already, but the button at the moment is grayed out. Just indicates to me I haven't got enough actual credits yet. So I need 320. I've only got 230. So I'm going to have to wait a little bit, but in the same time, I'm actually already started building that with the natural monthly construction input, and that shall already advance it, and it will actually reduce that costing of that as well. Let's move on to the next term. Actually, it hasn't told me why there was an anomaly there. Interesting. Okay, let's...
The scanners have located a pirate vessel, your secrecy.
Pirate vessel. So we found the pirate base now here. So what we can do in a minute, once my other fleet is up and ready again, I should be able to... Is it repaired, by the way, already? It's not fully repaired. It is still in the process of being repaired. But what I can do in a minute, I should be able to move that into position, at least to that warp point here to defend it. Maybe better yet, I might be able to move to that planet to actually destroy that pirate base. Destroying a pirate base, of course, prevents the pirate ships from spawning there. And secondly, it also gives you some additional credits at that point. I'm not sure which... Well, let's first get our fleet back in position and we'll actually make a decision on what we actually want to do with that. I do remember that we had some asteroids that we found in the other system here earlier. Allows me to, as long as I got a planet that's colonized in that system, to put a mining station in place there. I don't have that luxury at the moment, so I'm just going to have to stay with what I got. Tell it to skip that particular ship action. I'm going to focus on the repair of that. Yeah, I think that's it for a moment. And we're moving on. Again, I got a fleet with no actions assigned to it yet. There were 2 connections from there. What do I want to do? I probably want to move one of them to here. Again, there's an anomaly detected there. And what I should be able to do, I can either move from here to that anomaly or from there. And I think I'll do that from the opposite warp point because that's a lot closer to it. Again, there's another fleet that's got no orders, which is this one. It's not fully repaired yet, so I'm going to wait one more turn before I'm actually moving it into a defensive position. So the anomaly there. Okay. Progressing to the next turn. And I think we now get told that yes, this fleet is ready for action again. So where I want to move it, I want to move it to that particular warp point here, which will of course create a defensive position for that planet. And of course, because the hinterland here is really my home planet, there's no other connections to my home planet other than through here. It also protects my home planet at the same time. What do I want to do? I think we want to move on to the next turn. And I encounter an alien race.
Pleased to meet you. This is the controller of the Cylon Quanta. I am certain we have much to learn from each other.
Again, what you'll notice here straight away is actually that voice interaction. So they're all pre-recorded bits, of course, in there. But at the moment, I don't have any particular bits that I want to do with them yet. I will just have established a connection with them.
The news.
You are tuned to GNN, the only network that tells you what you need to know. Bringing it to you live.
Galactic News Network, the galaxy's most reputable news source.
Not necessarily on your own planet, other planets at the same time. Now, since I've now encountered that one alien race here, it looks like they've actually gone for the anomaly. Too bad. Happens, but I can actually go through my diplomacy interface here to interact with them as such. Now, you see at the bottom right here, there's actually, it lists all the actual individual races you have encountered or could still encounter through the question marks. Click on the race, and I should be able to then seek an audience with
My time is precious, outsider.
Okay, I can declare
What
war
is
if I want
it?
to, but really what I want to do, I want to negotiate.
Yes.
I want to maybe... I don't have a trade agreement option yet. I need to have an embassy for that first. I don't have an embassy yet. So what I could do, I can basically share the maps with them.
This
And
would
ask
be
the system,
within
do you think that'll work?
tolerable parameters.
Quite happily do that for the moment,
I welcome every...
because of course it gives me greater insight into actually what's going on.
Leave me to my studies.
Yes. Okay, so you straight away get told that you actually revealed an additional 16 planets, and you straight away get to see on your map where those additional planets are. You straight away get to see their home planet, etc. Do bear in mind, if you're of course on a warlike path, or you expect to be attacked, this could be not always the best thing. But in this particular stage, I don't think I'll go straight at war with anyone. I actually might colonize this particular system. It gives you a forward base here. Colonizing maybe not. But that planet here is arid, so better. Yeah, I'll probably get a more forward base from where I'll do some defense and take it from there. So again, I have to basically choose research because I've just completed my research.
One more veil is drawn from the truth hindmost.
Yeah, so I can create those automated factories, plus of course the neutrino blasters. Allows me to update my design, so do bear in mind this is only for
Secrets from the
future
Cabal
ships you're building. This is not
hindmost.
any actual ships you got at the moment. Close that. Can I choose my next bit of research? research, and I think I've mentioned it already, Casino relations.
Our secret safe outpost
allows me to establish those embassies I was talking about just a second ago when we were looking at the Scion race interface. But it also allows me to do the actual spy base itself on my home planet. Alright, let's move on to the next turn. Like I said, turn-based, so we keep on having to move through this turn by turn by turn. That's my ship. I should move it over there. That's a system that hasn't been explored by the Scion either. That system hasn't either yet. And again, we discovered some pirates. Now, I don't think that's a big issue yet, as long as I move my fleet into position before they're able to move over to my planets there. Yeah, looks like they're going to be moving into that position in just a minute. Do bear in mind, in system you can always do a full move. I'm just going to guard that position. And with the full move, I really mean to say you can move to any particular planet without an extra turn being required, as long as you still got moves at your disposal.
Whispers in the dark.
My colony has grown, so let's have a look at that planet. So not my colony, it's actually my home planet. I do want to put a bit more emphasis on the actual production here, so it gives me the ability to grow my hydroponic farms a bit quicker. I think I might actually want to move my space factory up one position to get that into action quicker as well. There's a research, I'm quite happy with that. You might notice here at the bottom you can actually move on to your next colony, so you can actually have a look at what's going on there. Now that production of the biosphere is still going on. Now, just wondering, is that biosphere the best choice for me, or should I really get the hydroponic farms? Just hovering over it basically gives you an indicator as to what happens with them. I still think the biosphere is the best, so I actually got enough money to invest in here. So I'm actually gonna invest that fully, to straight away get that building up, and then afterwards go for the hydroponic farms. One of my fleets needs instructions. Where's the exploration fleet here? Just gonna issue orders for next turn, and then finally this fleet here. Gonna move to that system over there. We encounter yet another race.
Welcome, stranger. I am the Empress of the Mershan Pride. If you scratch our backs, we'll scratch yours.
Cool. Second race encountered. Again, we are in a good battle here. Now, in this particular instance, I'm actually going to use the auto-resolve. Victory chance is set to good. I'm happy with that. Again, I get to see a replay of what that actually went like. Alright, I defeated them.
Keep this to yourself, please.
I'm happy with that. Of course, I can start building a relationship. Can't do that. I'm not going to do that yet. Let's move that ship back to my home planet. I did actually do a repair on here. Let's just do the safe thing, move it back to our home planet. Once that's completed, the repair over there, we'll be able to then move it on to the next. Now, of course, I just completed that production here, so I think that that rate has increased here, the rate of growth. Not sure about how much, but it should have a positive impact on that. Does it list it here in terms of the buildings? View the planet to be able to see that. So there is our biosphere, and it gives us one extra food and one extra research. So yes, it does have a positive impact on there. I think that's part of the actual pre-release bit, that basically some of that insight that you might want to really get from here is not there yet. And as I said earlier, some of the things are still changing in here. So don't necessarily take this to be the way that you'll actually get to play it once the game is been out on the market for a while. It's still an early release at the moment. I actually think now having encountered that second race is a good point to actually save the game and then maybe carry on with the next playthrough on the next session. I think we basically had a playthrough of about 35-40 minutes now. So we haven't advanced that far yet in the game, but good turn. 19th turn we're in at the moment. And I'm just going to save the game. And of course that allows you to give it your own name. Tells you, of course, the key statistics of your current game. And that's it for the moment. Thank you very much for watching. Look forward to seeing you next time.